Well, folks, this is finally in episode 20 of the Retro Review Show. It took us a while to get to this one, but this is William Baxter, and joining me is Mr. Paul Bell. Finally, we got the band back together. I know it's been a while, and we're going to talk about something I've been holding off for a while. In about a month, we've got Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, coming out. I don't sound too enthused because, frankly, I am really Star Wars out by all the negative reviews and the negative this and the this and that and everything. I'm over it. Granted, I don't know what to think about how this new film's going to be, since we've got confirmation that Darth Sidious is in it. I don't know what to say about it because I haven't seen the movie yet, so we're not going to indulge too much into it. Paul did a really cool reaction video review about it. But we're going to talk about The Last Jedi, episode 8. Which people treats this one like it's the episode 2 of this sequel trilogy. Honestly, I'm going to say it right now. I did not mind this film too much. Does it have flaws? Yes. Does the original trilogy have flaws in it? Yes. Does the prequel trilogy have a lot of flaws in it? Yes. Episode 2. But I'm going to say that I enjoyed this film quite a bit. Too many characters is probably one of my complaints.
I could kind of see that, yeah. I know a lot of people weren't enthusiastic about the character Rose.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I mean, she was bullied.
I thought she was a decent character.
Yeah, I mean, I love the arc,
up at it, you know?
the arc between her and her sister.
Yeah.
And her sister at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
I did like that little arc, that bond that they had between, because it was always a bond between siblings and father and son and parenting.
Well, it was a short-lived one. I think if that would have developed a little bit more, it might have been, she might have been more of a fan favorite character.
Yeah, I think something that could have been in the comics. I'm sure they have. I don't know if they had or not, because I don't read the comics, nor do I read the novel books, because there's so much Star Wars I can put into my life. But again, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, sadly, this was Carrie Fisher's last performance.
No. What a great performance by her.
Yes.
I mean, it was really good. I liked, not to give away too many spoilers if you haven't seen it, but I think you'd have to be living under a rock not to have.
Yeah.
But seeing Carrie Fisher use the Force to pull herself back to the spaceship, I thought that was amazingly done.
Oh, yeah.
Just a really cool part of the movie.
But, I mean, one of the things that's different about The Last Jedi also is that it picks up like maybe an hour or 30 minutes after The Force Awakens, which a Star Wars movie hadn't done that. Usually a Star Wars movie picks up 10 years, 5 years, 3 years after its predecessor. But this one picks right up, and then it comes right up to where Rey's handing Luke Skywalker the lightsaber. This movie just had a lot of things that was unexpected that a lot of fans were building up to.
Oh, yeah.
They were hoping that Luke would grab that lightsaber. And what happens?
Well, no, I didn't think for a second he was going to accept the lightsaber. I felt like it was very much like Yoda when he was, sent to Dagobah when he was exiled himself. But no, it was interesting. I mean, especially Skywalker Kenobiing himself in a way, which was kind of cool to see. And at the same time, you see another landmark character just gone.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of distanced himself from the Force, but the tossing of the lightsaber over the shoulder.
Oh, that was just funny.
I mean, and everybody laughed. I mean, and of course, we had all these negative reviews afterwards of people complaining about it. But when I was in the theater, it was a belly laugh, a crowd of people laughing. So I didn't see. I mean, Rian Johnson's a very good director and a wonderful writer. If you ever see the movie Looper, which starred Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, do check that out, because that is one of the most original type of piece of time traveling films that you'll ever see. I do recommend that movie. Also, it has Emily Blunt in it too. But
Jeff Daniels.
Yep, another great performance. But as I said, there's, as I said, the big complaint was, there was too many characters. I mean, it was way too long
It was
for a
too
Star
long.
Wars movie.
I don't know that I'd say too many characters as much as the wrong characters. I think that if they'd have seen more Chewbacca screen time, or if they wouldn't have got
More
Han
R2-D2.
Solo in the first one,
Yeah.
if he'd have come back, I don't think people would have judged it as harshly.
Yeah.
But getting rid of Han Solo, not seeing a lot of R2-D2, you don't see a lot of Chewbacca, which he ended up being kind of a comic relief
Yeah.
in this movie. And I don't know. I mean, it was a decent movie. It wasn't the best one,
Yeah.
but it was decent.
I mean, more or less, the middle trilogy is supposed to be kind of like the way Empire Strikes Back was.
Yeah.
That's how we supposed, when it comes to a 3-act play, the middle act is supposed to be the dreadful one, and that's the reason why Episode 2 kind of suffered, because Lucas was kind of doing a bit of a switch over, because that third movie in the prequel trilogy, Episode 3 had to be the dreadful one. It had to be the most darkest out of those three. But this one, I think, should have been that part. I mean, it should have been, because it ended with so much hope at the end.
Well, the cliffhanger ending there, with the boy.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting scene to see, and I think anybody that isn't completely familiar with Star Wars was probably left with some questions on where that might fit into Episode 9.
Yeah, that,
So,
or
I mean,
anything further into the
It left,
anthology
it
of the
left
Star Wars.
open to interpretation. It also left you wanting to know what was coming next. So, I mean,
Yeah.
in the sense that it's a middle act, I could see that it did its job.
I mean, because the next film is going to take place a year after this.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, though, one of my favorite moments in this film, though, because we're jumping around in this film, because we're not going to go deep into a discussion about this, but one of my favorite moments is when Rey and Kylo Ren had to join forces to fight Snoke's guards.
This Imperial Guard.
And to see, those red, the red, I would say, shrouds, that he had in his throne room, catch on fire, and them fighting those guys, those guards and everything. That was some of the coolest lightsaber battles I've ever seen.
It was a great fight scene. I mean,
And
it had a lot of good scenes in it with a lot of action. It had its comic relief. It had just a lot of things that were, a credit to the film. It had its detractors, but I think that was, the fact that it didn't have the characters that fans were looking for.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And I have to say the biggest surprise that we all took was when Snoke was basically talking like there's no way he can be defeated, no way he can be turned against, or no way he can be, betrayed, and he can see that he's ready to take his lightsaber and turn it against his greatest foe. And then what did he do? He takes Luke and Anakin's lightsaber. He cuts Snoke in half, which I was like, "Oh, that was not expected."
That was a very Sidious kind of arrogance.
Yeah.
So I think that was, as much as it was a cool scene, it was also a very funny scene.
Yeah.
Because, he just genuine shock and surprise on that one.
I like how he just fell over.
Yeah.
And then when Hawks came by to see, the witness, the aftermath.
Yeah.
And then he's still falling apart. And, as I said, it was, I mean, I said, it was a little bit comic relief. What I do think, though, was unnecessary about this film was or they spent too much time on, was the casino planet.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, I can see what they were going for. They were trying to give Finn and Rose kind of a
their own story.
Give them a little more to it, but I honestly think the movie could have done without that.
Yeah, or a little less.
Yeah.
I mean, Del Toro.
That's where you introduced to Del Toro's character.
And he was kind of a bit of a waste of a character, I think.
A little bit, yeah. I would have expected more out of that character, especially with that actor.
Oh God! I mean, one of the best actors. I expected him to be somebody of like an imperial type of dominance.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to see that.
Well, I liked the scoundrel way of him. I could see how they were trying to give it a kind of a Han Solo feel to him.
Yeah.
You know, kind of feel that roguish, you know, but just the way his character developed, I was not happy with the end result of it.
I mean, Poe Dameron, I think his character, you know, he was given more to do.
Yeah.
Being more of a insubordinate, trying to see, because he didn't know what was going on, and he was just trying to do the best for the Resistance.
Yeah.
But I do have to say that Laura Dern's character was pretty much a waste of a character, but I do have to say, when she finally did something,
yeah, that was
turning the ship and going into
hyperspace,
up against to the First Order ships, I have to say, one of the coolest scenes, space battles or ships scenes I've ever seen.
I'd have to agree. That was really cool, and the effects of how they did it was really.
Yeah, I mean, to show what would happen
yeah.
if another ship going into hyperspace, going up against another ship, what would happen? And because they never really went into anything like that before.
Yeah.
But I personally, you know, as I said, when but what was everybody's, you know, big complaint? They were hoping to see Snoke and Luke go up against each other.
Yeah.
But I do have to say
that wouldn't have fit in this movie because it's a middle act.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they got rid of Snoke in this movie, so obviously they have to make another, you know, protagonist for, you know, the ninth. But I mean, with them saying they're bringing Palpatine back, I can see that as being a good. I could see Snoke as being used as a placeholder.
Yeah, I would have to say he was the MacGuffin. As you go into Hitchcock terms, he was always a MacGuffin. He was never really. I think Abrams probably had this planned to begin. They let Rian Johnson do his little thing, but I think, as I said, Snoke was a MacGuffin. He was never really used there. I think it was just a character. They were just thought, okay, well, they're going to think that this is going to be the guy that everybody's going to fear. Oh, nope, he's gone. And, you know, Kylo Ren is now the supreme leader. But I do have to say, Daisy Ridley and Mark Hamill's performance against each other was, I have to say, very good. I mean, they worked well against each other.
They did well. It was interesting to see how her training was different from Luke's training, and it was also different from anything you'd kind of seen previous. I mean, you could see some correlation between her and Anakin in the way of his training. You know, being headstrong, wanting to do things her way, develop at a faster speed so she could be of a help.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she touches, you know, a dark side place on the planet, which, I mean, it's just interesting. I'm waiting to see how her character develops farther into the story when you go into episode 9.
But I will have to say, the spoiler alert, Yoda's in this as a ghost, Force ghost. They used the puppet. It didn't look good, but I will have to say the dialogue between Yoda and Luke was so good. It was so well written, and I thoroughly that made up for the use of the puppet. I understand that the nostalgia of the puppet. I understand that.
Well, to a point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be older fans from the original, you know, the original trilogy that are going to enjoy it, but I think it's that mixed bag where some enjoy seeing the puppet, but at the same time, you know, I think it's the dialogue, like you said, that just carried it through. It made the performance worth it.
Yeah, but what was also was real touching to see that last, you know, towards the end of the film, where the Resistance were, you know, locked up in that cave, and Luke comes in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And him and Carrie Fisher shared their moment, you know, brother and sister. Shares that because unfortunately, you know, Harrison wasn't there.
No.
You know, they killed Han Solo off in the previous film, and you know they were able, you know, he put the dice that was hanging in the Millennium Falcon, into her hand, and she knew that, you know, there was no way she was probably going to ever get Kylo to turn back, but they had him walking out in front of the, you know, because he made a comment. He says, "What do you think I'm going to do? Be the Jedi Knight that can just stand in front of an Imperial army and stop them?" What did he do? He goes out there to be that Jedi Knight to stand in front of the Imperial army, or, you know, the Resistance or the First Order, to, he was there as a diversion.
Yeah.
And I love how, every time, Kylo Ren's like giving an order, and the General Hulk is like repeating after him with much more intensity. Kylo Ren just getting really irritated, and and how the Millennium Falcon pops up out of nowhere, and he's like, "Blow that garbage out of the sky!" But Luke, standing there, and just everything just shooting at him, and we're like, "Okay, let's see what this is going to turn out."
That was truly an awesome scene, and I felt like it really showed you the difference between Kylo Ren's development towards the dark side versus Luke Skywalker's redemption to the light side.
Yeah.
He reconnects with the Force.
Yeah, and I like it after everything, all the smoke and debris, clears. What does he do?
Yeah, just goes, a little,
It's up. And I knew something was up when he looked different.
He looked completely different.
Than he was on the island.
Yeah, the old school trilogy, Return of the Jedi, kind of haircut. I mean, he looked entirely different. Really cleaned up.
He looked like he went to the, he used that for men, hair dye and everything. I'm thinking something's up. But the lightsaber, as short as it was between Kylo and him, it was kind of cool seeing Luke kind of doing these little feng shui type of Tai Chi type of moves. But then again, all of a sudden you see, but you can tell something was different because when Luke was moving, the ground wasn't moving, because there was the salt, as you can tell, the planet was salt, and it was, no red was, forming underneath it. And you could tell something was different. And all of a sudden, Kylo went to try to cut at him, and he looks at him and he's like, come to find out, Luke was never there.
Yeah.
And something that was, I think, brought out of the EU, something that an idea that came out of the extended universe, which is now called Star Wars Legends. He projected a hologram of himself. I mean that was something that we did not expect. Rian Johnson gave us something that was unexpected, which is needed in these movies, which I appreciated. I was blown away, and I'm thinking, yes.
I liked how they chose that. I mean, that was very interesting, and I like the fact that he was able to do that rather than them say that he got from that planet, got cleaned up, reaffirmed himself, and went into battle. The fact that he kind of did it in spirit rather than physically, I thought spoke more to the redeeming moment where he was trying to be the hero that they needed rather than, trying to save the day. Yeah. He was giving them the time they needed.
Yeah, and the whole time, Rey was, getting finding, moving these boulders and everything with the Force and helping the Resistant move out of there to get on top of the Millennium Falcon, which I still have. And and this is actually a vintage case.
His collection. Check out some of the prior videos.
Yeah, and this is a vintage case. That was something I got recently. That's a vintage case. No, I diverse. Sorry, but anyway, just seeing Luke, and then you see Luke back on that other planet, and he's meditating.
No.
And then he tells Kylo's, and I'll always be here, just like your father. And he goes, I'll see you around, kid. And then he disappears, and then, because he used the Force so much and everything, he disappears.
He Kenobi'd himself.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But, again, I expected it maybe to happen. We expected it to happen eventually. We knew that this trilogy, Luke was going to eventually die. As I said, he was he was going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi of this trilogy. It had to be, He had to be the martyr of this, just like Qui-Gon Jinn was, and how Obi-Wan was in the original trilogy, and then how Luke is in this. That's just how it is. But I do think that when it came to that, it you see how Rey and Leia both looked at it and accepted it, and then when Rey and them, got on board the Millennium Falcon and got off, Kylo, goes into the cave, and he looks down and he sees the dice that was, his father's that was on the Millennium Falcon, and it too disappears, knowing that he's now officially alone in the universe. So he, that right there, that hits an emotional point when it comes to the character. You can feel that emotion. That I really don't think there's any redemption towards this character.
I don't know. I think if there is any, it's going to be in episode 9. I've heard that they're supposed to be doing something with the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Coming into episode 9. Obviously, Palpatine's a complete game changer.
Yeah.
There's no telling whether or not he'll accept, Kylo Ren as his apprentice, or whether or not he's just going to try to turn Rey.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see where it goes. I felt like this was a very good. I felt like it made what it needed to be done. It left placeholders, different venues which could be explored. I'm waiting to see how it turns out.
And I liked how Rey was talking with Leia, and she was showing how Luke and Anakin's lightsaber was split apart because the fight between Rey and Kylo at the end of their lightsaber battles with the guards, they were fighting over that lightsaber, and because they split it in half. But and then it kind of opened it up also, which is probably going, because originally I thought Poe Dameron and Rey were probably going to be end up siblings. They were going to, tweak us on that. But it comes to find out, they was like, hey, I'm Poe, because this is actually the first time they've actually had a meeting with one another. They've actually, had talk with each other. I don't think it's the first time they've actually shared screen time almost together too.
It may have been.
So, but I'd have to say, I don't know what they're going to go with that. That kind of like, there's maybe a little bit of romanticism. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. But and then of course you got a little bit from Rose and Finn.
Yeah.
But I do have to say the battles with these little speeders and everything, and the walkers and everything, that was pretty good. As I said, there was really good. There was good points to this film.
Yeah.
I don't understand why a lot of fans hated on it. I think it's just because they had so much expectations to it. They wanted the Snoke and Luke fight.
I think there was a lot that.
Yeah. A lot of build-up.
Built up in people's minds. Not so much that it was promised. I think it built up in people's minds. They thought they were going to see a showdown between Snoke and Luke. Both characters don't make it.
Yeah.
There's no Han Solo to play off of Chewbacca.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you have, what are they, the Porgs?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's no replacement.
Yeah.
You're
but
missing
you only
out
get Billy D in the next one.
You get Billy D in the next one, but it's only good if
and you're gonna get those capes
Chewbacca
back.
Start to.
Yeah, you're gonna get those capes.
It's Billy D. He's the meaning of smooth. You look it up in the dictionary, he's right there.
I do have to say, what's his name that played him in Solo did a pretty good job too.
I think Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, but he's got another name too. He goes by another name too when he does it.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah. I mean, both guys can rock a cape.
Well, he was a comedian too. So
yeah.
I mean, he's. Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could rock cape. I want capes back in style. # Let's rock capes.
I got a beard. We're halfway there.
Yeah.
Let's get medieval. But just all in all, I don't think this film was as bad as everybody says it was. There was harsh reviews and things like that. I just think it was not meeting the expectations that people built up in their mind.
Yeah.
I think if it would have been done a little differently, it would have been a hit.
It said if some things was just the timing was composite down a little bit to a regular Star Wars film. But again, this is the only Star Wars film that we didn't hear any controversy out of. Like we did with a little bit of Rogue One, even though I think Rogue One, out of all these new ones, is the best out of all the new Star Wars films.
Solo was pretty good with Woody Harrelson in there.
I mean, Ron Howard came in and kind of fixed the film up a little bit, and but Lord Miller, getting fired during the middle of that, of course, we'll never understand or figure out what's going on. But again, we'll see, and of course, the guy who directed the first Jurassic World movie, he was let go from Episode 9, and they brought J.J. Abrams into that. And I said, I think right now when it comes to these movies, after Episode 9, we need to focus on television.
Well, they're already starting with The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian's
on
absolutely
Disney
wonderful.
Plus. I haven't seen anything yet.
Oh my God, trust me, you're gonna love it.
Baby Yoda thing has gone everywhere. I'm waiting to see if that somehow ties into episode 9.
I don't know. I know it makes you wonder, but
with the craze of the Baby Yoda, I think they could do maybe a little 5-minute short of that, and half the audience would, oh my God, it's Baby Groot! Look at that, it's all over again.
Yeah, I know, but
the hype on that alone might be able to just.
And then we got a Kenobi TV show coming out on Disney Plus.
It's got Ewan McGregor. That's already a hit.
That's that right there. That's something that we wanted. We wanted to see Ewan McGregor because he was one of the best parts about that prequel trilogy.
All he has to say is hello there, and he'll make the
hello.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, I think it's got a lot of a positive place to go.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie may not have been what people wanted, but I think it did its job. It filled as a middle act to get you to episode 9.
As I said, I do think though, it should have been a little bit more as what most middle acts should have been. But again, it wasn't bad as everybody let it off to be. And as I said, it's not as bad as episode 2. There's no bad that you can ever get out of that. But I said the only redeeming quality, as I said in our last review, the only redeeming quality that you can ever get out of episode 2 was Jango Fett.
That was about it.
Yeah. But anyway, well, that's, I have to say, would be about our review on that. That's all I can think of. As I said, anybody out there think what they can believe about their beliefs on episode 8, The Last Jedi? As I said, just drop us a comment. Don't forget to like and, subscribe to this channel, I don't know how everything's going to go. Everybody who knows everything about this whole Federal Trade Commission thing, which I'll probably touch base on that eventually and talk to you guys about that. I don't know what's going to go on with this channel. I'm not really sure everything that's been going on. But again, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm still going to be, I'm going to load this video. I wanted to talk about The Last Jedi before we, if we do a review for The Rise of Skywalker, because, we've done everything else, and I've been wanting to wait until it was time to do another Star Wars movie to come out, and I wanted to do it here with Paul, and I was lucky to have Paul with me to do it. And so, everybody, I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, Paul, thank you for coming.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. So, don't forget, folks, the Rise of Skywalker will be out next in about a month. And again, thanks for watching. Keep watching, and may the Force be with you always. Until